The market has been pretty rough recently, and when things go quiet like this, it's very easy to switch off and just completely ignore your portfolio. However, this can be one of the biggest mistakes that you can possibly make. Right now, whilst the market is relatively quiet, you can be making some of the best decisions possible for your portfolio. And in today's video, we are going to run through a very simple and actionable plan for your altcoin portfolio. If you do find this video helpful, if it is useful, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. But that is enough said, let's get into it. So let's not forget what just happened. Just a couple of weeks back, we seen over $370 billion wiped out of the market in just a couple of hours. And alongside that, we seen almost $20 billion wiped out from leveraged traders being completely liquidated and out of the game. And of course, as a result, sentiment shifted and the fear is real. Now, when the fear is this high, it's very easy to just freeze and do nothing. But the data shows why this is a very dangerous approach. According to recent data, over 50% of altcoins since 2021 have already failed. Even in the first quarter of this year, when the price action was pretty brutal again, we seen a large number of coins just being completely wiped out and going to zero. This is the brutal reality of the altcoin market. It is a graveyard of dead projects and failed promises, and there is a high chance that a number of people watching this video are still holding coins that fall into that category. Unfortunately, holding onto these coins and hoping for a miracle recovery is simply not a strategy. These quiet periods are an opportunity to clear up the dead weight, to be ruthless, to be unemotional, and prepare your portfolio for the next big move. So here is a very simple 3-step plan that I am currently following myself to make sure that I've tidied up my portfolio and have prepared in the best way possible. Step 1 is to consolidate your bags. You may currently have a portfolio of 20, 30, maybe even 50 different altcoins. And it's very likely that the majority of these positions are just altcoins that you aped into on a whim with a very small amount, and this just creates noise and distraction because there is no way that you can closely keep up to date with 50 different altcoin projects. Now, I have always taken a less risky approach compared to other cryptocurrency investors, and by this I mean having the majority of my funds in blue chips such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and others like that. This of course is a very common approach for institutional funds, and I believe it is probably the best thing that many retail investors can do as well. Now, these numbers may vary slightly depending on your personal portfolio, your risk tolerance, and so on, but I do believe that having around 50 to 70% of your portfolio in the likes of Bitcoin and Ethereum just creates a safer environment with a solid core foundation to the portfolio. I then personally believe that around 20 to 40% should be for altcoin plays, but I don't mean just scrambling money into a bunch of different coins. This is for the high conviction plays, the ones that you have done the most research on, the ones that of course you do have the most conviction in, and then you can monitor them closely going forward as well. I feel like 5 to 10 different altcoin positions is probably where most people want to be, but many would argue that even having 10 is still too many. And lastly, I would keep around 10% on the side in stable coins. Having a reserve in cash isn't just to protect you from any downturns in the market, it's also an opportunity for you to then deploy on them gruesome red days where everybody else is panicking. This is a very simple approach, but we really don't need to complicate things. Keeping your portfolio organized and clean is the best way to stay on top of it and avoid holding those dead bags. Now, moving on to step 2, and this does go hand in hand with step 1. Admittedly, this is the hard part for many people because you have to cut your losers. Emotionally, this is the hardest thing to do because nobody wants to admit to themselves that they made a bad choice or bad investment. But nobody is going to make 100% of the time the best choices or investments, and this is the time now when we have to differentiate between a project that is down but has good potential still and a project that is truly dead and buried. So how do we actually tell the difference between the 2? Well, there are a few red flags that I usually look out for. Is the team still actively communicating? If you have noticed that their Telegram, their Discord, their social media channels have gone very quiet and they haven't posted since March earlier this year, it's probably not the best sign. When it comes to product development, have they missed major roadmap deadlines? And linking back to the communication element, if they have missed these deadlines, have they explained why to their community? Is there a genuine reason, or are they just ignoring what is going on? And also, is the trading volume and liquidity drying up? This isn't directly associated to the team's communication, but it does give you an idea of how relevant they still are. I think it's very fair to say that hype cannot sustain a project's long-term durability. And I think when it comes to making these ultimate decisions with your portfolio, there is one question that I always ask myself after doing the research. If I had money in cash right now, would I buy this project again today? Unfortunately, if the answer is no, then you probably know what you need to do. However, there is one advantage in many different countries where cutting your losses with these dead bags actually has a benefit. And that brings us on to step 3, which is tax loss harvesting. If you're not familiar with this, it can be an absolute game changer. Now, of course, this is not financial advice, and I do recommend you to check out the legislation and the regulation in your own countries before taking this any further. But essentially, you sell your losing investment and declare a capital loss rather than a capital gain. And then you can use that loss against any other future capital gains, which will deduct that tax bill. In the US, you can even offset up to $3,000 of your ordinary income. Some people consider this as turning your financial losses into financial wins. It's also important to keep in mind that rules and legislation around the world when it comes to crypto taxes is always changing. It is a new industry. This is to be expected. So again, just like your portfolios, it is also important to keep up to date with the latest rules and regulation in your country. So once you've consolidated those bags and you've cut any losers, you may also have some cash lying around. And now it is time to ensure that we are doing the right thing with any remaining cash. So at this point, this is the perfect time to make sure that we've got that right balance in the portfolio when it comes to blue chips, riskier altcoins, and stable coins. Now, of course, a lot of this does come down to personal preference. Which blue chips do you prefer over others may be different to the next person, and the same with the low to mid cap altcoins as well. You will need to make the decision of whether you double down with the altcoins that you've decided to keep, or if you are looking to bring new altcoins into the portfolio. But one thing that you definitely have to keep in mind, and something that we've discussed on this channel before, is that altcoin seasons will never be the same again. Back in the day, all of the altcoins would basically just run at once in a huge frenzy, whereas these days we see different narratives and sectors take turns when it's time for alt season. This can make the hodl strategy even harder, because it could be a long time before the coin that you have so much conviction in actually decides to run. So to wrap this one up, the market being brutal isn't great, but it does give us an opportunity to clean things up. It is actually a very necessary reality check, and it gives us the opportunity to make sure we are prepared before the next big move. The 3 key actions are very simple to implement. Number 1 is consolidating them small bags that you don't really have the conviction in. You are going to dump them and you are going to put them into your higher conviction plays. Number 2 is being ruthless and cutting projects that are losers. And you may one day have had the conviction in this coin, but it just isn't the same project that it once was. It is very hard to accept this, but sometimes this is the case. And step 3 is to consider and at least do your research into tax loss harvesting to ensure that you are not paying anything more than what you should be. And lastly, kind of a bonus step, is to ensure that you are consolidating all of these changes into the right bags and you have the new alt season meta in the back of your mind to ensure that you don't hodl more dead weight in the future. But I do want to hear from you guys, so let me know down below in the comments how you have your portfolio currently structured, and if you agree with the splits that I mentioned earlier. Do you you have so much conviction or so much weight in the blue chips, or are you taking more risk? And lastly, of course, if you did enjoy this video, please do drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. But in the meantime, please do trade safe, please do invest safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.